When it comes to success stories, we like to highlight those because I think 1 year into the pandemic, we've all been bogged down in so much sadness in the pandemic. So when we have a business that has been able to survive and succeed, we'd like to highlight them and hopefully it lifts the community up. But another organization that is dedicating to lifting up the community, the Kresge Foundation. They've been working since 1924 to promote human progress, making a difference in the lives of those that live in cities who lack access to opportunity. And with that, if we could bring in Wendy Jackson, she's the managing director for the Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation. Wendy, thank you again for hanging with us. Our apologies for being late.
Oh, not a problem at all, Ronnie. Thanks for having me.
So can I ask, are you working from home?
Yes, I'm working from my home here in Northwest Detroit.
For those that are listening on the radio, you can't see the video, but you have a beautiful library behind you. I just want to get lost in your library. Like I would go in there and not come out all day.
Of course.
Well, thank you. It's one of the reasons why we bought this house. I think we've been here a little bit over 20 years. And yeah, the library was definitely the selling feature. But as I said, I live in Northwest Detroit in an area where we have just gorgeous older brick homes, and most of them have libraries like this. So it's been a nice place to be if you had to be somewhere during a pandemic.
Oh gosh, and you can get lost in the books forever. With that though, you are the managing director for Detroit program, which is part of the Kresge Foundation. If we can kind of start at the top, an overview of the Kresge Foundation. I know it's been around since 1924, but what is its mission?
Yes, I'd be happy to. We were founded in 1924 by Sebastian S. Kresge, and your listeners may know that name. He was the founder of the Kmart Corporation. And so he founded us with a very broad mission of promoting human progress. And since that time, we have really focused on a mission that expands opportunity in American cities. So today, we have 8 program areas. We're a national foundation, and we also have a program in South Africa. But we have 8 program areas at the foundation. And our Detroit program, our hometown program, is the signature place-based program at Kresge. And here we obviously expand on our mission by focusing on expanding opportunity for Detroiters.
You've been around for so long and you've done so much good for the people of Detroit, but also for this region. But the need is also great. How do you pick and choose what areas you're going to focus on?
Yes, so we're very fortunate. We have the opportunity to invest in the city of Detroit and in some parts of the region in about $30 to $35 million a year. So we have a pretty significant budget. And as you indicated, the need is great. But we've been able to identify a strategy really focused on community progress, particularly in the city of Detroit, that lifts up the areas of energy that are underway for the city's recovery and transformation. So we're focused on areas such as environmental sustainability, arts and culture, neighborhood revitalization, transit, health, human services, early childhood education and development. So we're very fortunate to be able to focus in areas such as those and have done so for about the last decade.
So why is it so important for people that maybe don't live in the city of Detroit to be passionate and involved in the work that your organization is doing in the city of Detroit?
Well, in many ways, cities are the economic engine of our communities, and we feel the same about Detroit. It is the heartbeat or the core of the region. And so as the region prospers, Detroit is a critical component of that. And as Detroit prospers, the full region will prosper. So for those that don't live in the city, it's important to be connected and to pay attention and to support the ongoing recovery of Detroit.
Wendy Jackson with us here on the MegaCast. She is the managing director for Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation. And can you explain to us more about the Detroit program versus the Kresge Foundation? It's an underline of the Kresge, right?
Well, at Kresge, we have 6 kind of national multidisciplinary programs that focus on issues such as the environment or education or arts and culture, so on and so forth. And then we have a focus on places. And Detroit is our signature place-based program. It's our hometown as well. So another reason why we pay careful attention and make sure that we invest significantly in the work here in Detroit. But we are a foundation with a mission focused on cities. So in addition to Detroit, we're working right now in New Orleans and Memphis and Fresno, California. But again, Detroit is kind of the hub and spoke of what we do in places across the country. And with that, we have been really, I think, laser focused on the city's recovery and revitalization, and doing that across a number of different issue areas and disciplines. But most recently, our work has really centered on neighborhood revitalization and neighborhood recovery in Detroit. And so we're working deeply in neighborhoods across the city on just supporting organizations that are working to expand opportunity at the neighborhood level, such as block clubs, community development organizations. We're doing a lot right now around small businesses, particularly with the pandemic, and making sure that small businesses have the resources that they need to recover from what they've experienced over the last year. And so it's a very broad spectrum of work that we're doing.
But Wendy, I have to say that thank you for your organization putting the attention on the neighborhoods, because there's been so much focus on the city of Detroit and the downtown area as being the comeback city. And as someone who has reported and worked so much with the people of Detroit, it was the neighborhoods that felt like they were forgotten. And we're talking about people that bought into a neighborhood when it was thriving, and within 5 to 10 years, they may be the last one on the block, and all of the houses were abandoned, and then they felt like they were forgotten. And it was so hard for some of these people to just pick up and move, because you still owe so much on your house, and they didn't give up on their neighborhoods. So thank you for not giving up on them and not giving up on their neighborhoods. But your mission is somewhat broad when we're talking about the neighborhoods, and there are so many neighborhoods. We're talking about 138 square miles of Detroit. I think the downtown area is only 5 point something square miles. How do you get the most impact out of the dollars that you have? Because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I would imagine resources are a little bit tight right now.
Yeah, great question, Ronnie. And in many ways, it builds off of the reporting that you've done in the city over the years. And it's a balance. We're trying to do some things citywide, and then there are some things that we are able to do in very specific parts of the community. And so our citywide work, one example is our Kresge Innovative Projects Detroit initiative. And with that initiative, which is about 5 years or 6 years running, we put out a call for proposals every year citywide. We did it during the pandemic last year, as a matter of fact, that allows neighborhoods to come together around very specific physical revitalization projects and things that they feel are important in order for their neighborhood to thrive. And so we're able to provide them with planning grants as well as implementation grants for those projects. So things like community gardens, renovating a rec center or a recreation space in a neighborhood, those things that really improve quality of life in a way that is important to Detroiters and important to the neighborhoods overall. So those are some of the things we're able to do citywide. And then more specifically, we're working in different parts of the city to kind of pull a lot of different threads together. So our work, for example, in the Livernois-McNichols district on the west side of Detroit is looking at how do you kind of put together an integrated arts and culture body of work with corridor redevelopment and small businesses, with housing revitalization and educational supports. And we're doing something similar in the Jefferson Chalmers part of the city on the east side. And so it really is a balance for us. We try and do some things citywide, and then we also try and do things in specific places. But you're right, 139 square miles is a lot to cover. And we're very fortunate also in Detroit to have a number of different foundations that work here, and we're able to partner with them, such as the Kellogg Foundation and the Skillman Foundation and the Ford Foundation. So given the richness of the philanthropic community in the city, we're able to cover a lot of ground together.
It's so beautiful that you are doing that, because I have found that if you even give the neighborhoods a little bit of hope, you get the blighted house torn down, you get the illegal dumping cleaned up, they will then take over and care for that neighborhood. And it doesn't go back to where it was. They just needed someone to listen and someone to care and take a little bit of action. And with that, though, how are you doing all of this in the middle of a pandemic? How is fundraising right now?
Well, we're very fortunate in that when Mr. Kresge founded the Kresge Foundation in 1924, we're an endowed foundation. So we use the proceeds of our endowment every year to invest in the work that we do, not only in Detroit, but across the country. We have been able to maintain our endowment, grow our endowment during the pandemic, and that is how we're able to do what we're doing right now. I work with an amazing team of 7 individuals. They're all working from home, but thanks to technology, we've been able to make grants in the way that is important during this last year, because the need didn't go away. And so we've been able to also, I think, reconfigure how we work, as many others have done, to do as much as we can virtually.
So Wendy, with that, if I can ask you, do you have one story that you can share personally that how what your work has done has touched an individual or a neighborhood that has changed them and keeps you going in some of these dark days?
Oh, wow. There's so many. I'll lift up one big project that we're working on right now, which is the transformation of the former Marygrove College campus in Northwest Detroit. And there we have been able to partner with the University of Michigan School of Education, Starfish Child and Family Services, and the Detroit Public Schools Community District to open a brand new high school on that campus, the school at Marygrove, which when we started the project, it had students learning in person and had to go virtual, as many other schools have done in the city and the region, and of course the United States. But opening a brand new high school next month, despite the pandemic, a new early childhood center is opening. And services have been provided to our youngest learners in the city throughout the pandemic. And so when I think about that project and the lives that have been touched in the last year, but also will continue for the next several years, it's definitely one that I would lift up for your audience to think about. Another project I would lift up, Ronnie, is a lot of the work that we've done with making sure that the city's had adequate resources for COVID testing and now vaccine distribution. And I've had a chance to experience that myself, and just seeing, how those resources have helped make sure that the vaccine as well as some of the testing have gone out to the neighborhoods now. So I know you've heard about a lot that's going on at TCF, but there's a lot going on underway in neighborhoods across Detroit. And I'm very proud of being able to invest in some of that work as well alongside the city.
Well, that's so great about what you and your team are doing in the middle of the pandemic, but also prior to the pandemic and what's to come as well. So for those that are listening and just hearing about your efforts, we know that cities may stop at borderlines, but this is beyond 8 Mile. This comes into all of our communities because we are one community. How can people learn more about your organization and if they want to help as well?
So our website is www.kresge.org. There is probably the best place to learn about what we're doing, where we're investing, and where we would look for partners and opportunities to collaborate, not only in the city, but in some of the work that's going on in the region as well.
Wendy, thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking with you, but also learning more about the work that you're doing. Wendy Jackson with us here on the MegaCast. She's the managing director for the Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation.